found for promoting the free expression and trade of ideas through travel and communication and through increased exchanges of people and books and broadcasts. For as the world renounces the competition of weapons, competition in ideas must flourish, and that competition must be as full and as fair as possible. The United States delegation will be prepared to suggest to the United Nations initiatives in the pursuit of all these goals. For this is an organization for peace, and peace cannot come without work and without progress. The peacekeeping record of the United Nations has been a proud one, though its tasks are always formidable. We are fortunate to have the skills of our distinguished Secretary General and the brave efforts of those who have been serving the cause of peace in the Congo and the Middle East, in Korea and Kashmir, in West Virginia and Malaysia. My fellow inhabitants of this planet, let us take our stand here in this assembly of nations, and let us see that if we, in our own time, can move the world to a just and lasting peace,
Would you want a Gaddafi or an Arafat or a Castro to be a future president of South Africa?
In 1943, blacks were prohibited from being naval officers. Eleanor Roosevelt was persuaded her husband to train him, so they selected 16 black college-educated men for training, the Naval Academy. The Navy says, aha, we're going to give these black cadets in 8 weeks what we give white cadets in 16, so they wash out. When these brothers found out what the deal was, they covered the windows in their barracks and stayed up all night and studied. And when they were tested, they scored in the 90th percentile.
Wow.
So then they said, well, they cheated. So they tested them individually. They scored in the 93rd percentile. 13 of them eventually became naval officers. They called them the Golden 13. You can look
Google
it up.
this?
That test, the test scores today has never been better. In 1943, blacks were prohibited from being naval officers. Eleanor Roosevelt was persuaded her husband to train him, so they selected 16 black college-educated men for training, the Naval Academy. The Navy says, aha, we're going to give these black cadets in 8 weeks what we give white cadets in 16, so they wash out. When these brothers found out what the deal was, they covered the windows in their barracks and stayed up all night and studied. And when they were tested, they scored in the 90th percentile.
Wow.
So then they said, well, they cheated. So they tested them individually. They scored in the 93rd percentile. 13 of them eventually became naval officers. They called them the Golden 13. You can look
Google
it up.
this?
That test, the test scores today has never been better. In 1943, blacks were prohibited from being naval officers. Eleanor Roosevelt was persuaded her husband to train him, so they selected 16 black college-educated men for training, the Naval Academy. The Navy says, aha, we're going to give these black cadets in 8 weeks what we give white cadets in 16, so they wash out. When these brothers found out what the deal was, they covered the windows in their barracks and stayed up all night and studied. And when they were tested, they scored in the 90th percentile.
Wow.
So then they said, well, they cheated. So they tested them individually. They scored in the 93rd percentile. 13 of them eventually became naval officers. They called them the Golden 13. You can look
Google
it up.
this?
That test, the test scores today has never been better. In 1943, blacks were prohibited from being naval officers. Eleanor Roosevelt was persuaded her husband to train them, so they selected 16 black college-educated men for training, the Naval Academy. The Navy says, aha, we're going to give these black cadets in 8 weeks what we give white cadets in 16, so they wash out. When these brothers found out what the deal was, they covered the windows in their barracks and stayed up all night and studied. And when they were tested, they scored in the 90th percentile.
Wow.
So then they said, well, they cheated. So they tested them individually. They scored in the 93rd percentile. 13 of them eventually became naval officers. They called them the Golden 13.
Can you
look
Google
it up.
this?
That test, the test scores today has never been better. In 1943, blacks were prohibited from being naval officers. Eleanor Roosevelt was persuaded her husband to train them, so they selected 16 black college-educated men for training, the Naval Academy. The Navy says, aha, we're going to give these black cadets in 8 weeks what we give white cadets in 16, so they wash out. When these brothers found out what the deal was, they covered the windows in their barracks and stayed up all night and studied. And when they were tested, they scored in the 90th percentile.
Wow.
So then they said, well, they cheated. So they tested them individually. They scored in the 93rd percentile. 13 of them eventually became naval officers. They called them the Golden 13.
Can
you
you
look
Google
it up.
this?
That test, the test scores today has never been better. In 1943, blacks were prohibited from being naval officers. Eleanor Roosevelt was persuaded her husband to train them, so they selected 16 black college-educated men for training, the Naval Academy. The Navy says, aha, we're going to give these black cadets in 8 weeks what we give white cadets in 16, so they wash out. When these brothers found out what the deal was, they covered the windows in their barracks and stayed up all night and studied. And when they were tested, they scored in the 90th percentile.
Wow.
So then they said, well, they cheated. So they tested them individually. They scored in the 93rd percentile. 13 of them eventually became naval officers. They called them the Golden 13.
Can
you
you
look
Google
it up.
this?
That test, the test scores today has never been better. In 1943, blacks were prohibited from being naval officers. Eleanor Roosevelt was persuaded her husband to train them, so they selected 16 black college-educated men for training, the Naval Academy. The Navy says, aha, we're going to give these black cadets in 8 weeks what we give white cadets in 16, so they wash out. When these brothers found out what the deal was, they covered the windows in their barracks and stayed up all night and studied. And when they were tested, they scored in the
Mic check.
Head start.
I appreciate you guys joining me. Welcome to Positively Honest Podcast, where we keep it absolutely positively honest, absolutely positively factual, no lies, no cover up, you know what I'm saying? But it has been a lot. It has been, you know what I'm saying, a long time since I've streamed on YouTube. So if you are joining me, I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate you, like being patient and understanding what I was going through and, my battle. I won't say, but I want to say this. I appreciate YouTube. I know it's some of you guys will be like, what the fuck, what is he saying? Nah, I just want to say, like, obviously, YouTube is a platform where they have their own rules, and I respect their own rules regardless, how harsh it is. But I respect their platform, I respect their rules, so I appreciate them for not kicking me out completely. So I want to just say that, obviously there are some struggles, but hey, that's sometime in the future. But anyways, what I want to get into today, guys, I have a little time today. I worked earlier. Obviously there are some things that I can't talk about on here due to the YouTube policy, which again I respect, so I want to respect it, and for that reason I do actually stream on other platforms as well. In case you were wondering, why I haven't seen him for a while, like what happened to him? Does he stop streaming altogether after all those, hard work and long years? No, the answer is no.
Nope.
I don't just give up that easy. I can't give up on my dream, guys.
Don't lose your dream for yourself, for your future, for your family. The dreams of love and enterprise and travel and doing things, becoming something unique on your journey here. Don't lose your dreams. Do some dreaming. You've got plenty of intelligence, you've got plenty of talent, you've got plenty of ability. Probably.
So, I don't just stop dreaming. So, just because there was a hardship, or a bum on the road, it's not going to make me just turn around. No, I'm going to figure out a way to pass that bum on the road and get to where I want to get it to. So eventually, guys, I will absolutely make it on YouTube or on as a content creator. That's a fact. Just only death, can prevent me from being a successful content creator. Only death. Think about that, because I am that determined. Like I said, you just have to have a reason, and I have so many reasons why I want to be successful, because I don't see any other way to, Basically, if you're not a millionaire in America, you are not living, my friend. You are not living, but it's all good. That's another topic. That's another day. That's another pod. But today's topic is, obviously, we are on Black History Month, February. If you didn't know, it's a Black History Month in America. So, I haven't been seeing a lot of, usually there is a lot of celebrations. There's a lot of uplifting. There's a lot of, community celebration. But it seems like 2024 is a little different. I don't know what it is. Obviously, I kind of have an idea why that is. There are other distractions, is all I can say. Not distractions, but there are other, I don't know if I can use that word, but the Chi word. There are other things happening that are, occupying a lot of people's minds and busy. And So, but I don't see a lot of the black community itself celebrating a lot. And I want to say to our black people, our community, we must celebrate Black History Month. If we don't, as a black community, don't celebrate the Black History Month, who else will? How do you expect other communities to actually celebrate with us? How do you expect them to celebrate and uplift you more than you do celebrate yourself? It's your own Black History Month. So, by default, black people should be celebrating Black History Month more often, more proudly. And I understand. There are other things that need to be resolved. I understand that. I understand the United States of America, you know what I'm saying, with its history. Its dark history ignores. I don't know when we will absolutely have to. We have no choice, guys. We have to address these issues. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, it's just going to continue. But, you know, maybe we will in the future. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a faith in the younger generation. Believe it or not, the younger generation, a lot of people demonize them. They demonize the younger generation. They always say, oh, this fucking millennials, Gen Z's, and obviously I am a millennial, but they say Gen Z, they're absolutely, it's over for the world if we leave it to Gen Z. That's what they say. The boomers say that, and I'll be like, what? I'm like, you must be kidding me, because what I see when I look around and I see not only black, but the youth, American youth, or the Gen Z generation, they are absolutely, for the most part, are aware of, and they're more, I believe they are smart, they are absolutely more humane, they know how to actually basically innovation, they're good at innovation. So it's like, if these Gen Zers have been infested, or you know what I'm saying, if basically America takes care of the future, what could be the future of, not could be, what will be the future of America, if America actually invests and make sure the future is bright for those kids, for those youth, for those Gen Z generation, things would have, they would be absolutely, they would expel, I would say, they would how do you say that word, they would absolutely dominate. They will produce more than predicted. They will absolutely surprise everybody. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's just demonize. I mean, every generation, to be honest with you, every generation they do shit like this. Every generation always puts down the younger generation. They're like, oh, they don't know nothing. They're still young as fuck. They don't know really nothing. But they actually do. They're growing up so fast. They're experiencing more than you have ever experienced. They are seeing more than you have ever have seen before. Things that are capable today were not even possibility. They were not even, you couldn't even think about those stuff. And of course, some of them has a negative effect, and some of course, positive. So, but majority of Gen Z, I'm going to say they are absolutely, even though they're abandoned, they're absolutely brilliant generation. So I don't hold the same view as the boomers. Maybe, maybe when I become a boomer, when I get there, maybe when I get old, my views will change. Maybe I will end up hating young generations because maybe my own selfish reasons. Maybe I'll be thinking, I'm getting older, guys, and these fucking young generations just keep walking around like doing yoga in front of me. That's absolutely unacceptable. I would have done the same. Like, oh, these young ladies are stretching right in front of me, and I smell something. Chill. You the one that is got dirty mind, not me. But anyways, guys, so that's all I wanted to say. Please make sure you actually celebrate, you actually uplift, you actually, there for your own community. Because at the end of the day, I get it. There's a lot of things that hasn't been resolved. But those should not be combined together. There should be two different things. As a black, like community, we should be able to celebrate our history. When we, got our freedom from slavery. Unbelievable. We should be celebrating that and making sure that never ever happens again, because oh boy, things are not that bright. That's all I'm gonna say. And with that being said, I would like to play a couple videos or a couple clips, I would say. It's knowledge that I want to share with you guys, how you perceive it or what you do with it. It's up to you, but I thought this is important to hear. So I'm going to pass it along to you guys. And here they are. Let me put the volume up. It along to you guys. And here they are. Let me put the volume up.
Of rates of blacks from the turn of the century up to the 60s was under 25%.
Incarceration was under 25%.
Under 25%.
Where are we at
it
today?
It shot up to I think it was like 90,000 blacks were in jail in 1960. That went up to 900,000 over the next 30 years.
Why do you think that is? What happened? What changed?
In our studies, red, white, and black, we looked at the experiences. We looked at 6 major plantations
70
to find out what the state of marriage was.
Is what he was trying to say. 70. That was a high number. Today, it's absolutely unfounded. Google it. Find it yourself. Shocking numbers. Unfounded. Google it. Find it yourself. Shocking numbers. Wait.
But in this community, it was low-income, segregated community, all blue-collar people. But we had a loving community, and there were men who stepped up and became surrogate fathers to me. All of the children could read. The segregated schools at the third grade plays were held at night so parents could attend. And on the back table, there were lunch pails. That's the level
amazing,
of community
guys.
that we
think
had
about
in
that.
the midst of segregation
Think about that, guys.
In the North.
Think about that. That's amazing, guys. Think about that. Think about that, guys. Think about that.
Low-income, segregated community, all blue-collar people. But we had a loving community. And there were men who stepped up and became surrogate fathers to me. All of the children could read. The segregated schools at the third grade plays were held at night so parents could attend. And on the back table, there were lunch pails.
Amazing.
That's the level of community that we had in the midst of segregation.
Amazing. Amazing. Amazing.
The so-called civil rights organizations, the Urban League, NAACP, all of those organizations that fought so-called for freedom, and they have morphed into a race grievance industry, and they're being led by their nose by other groups, and allowing the rich tradition of the civil rights movement to be appropriated for other groups in society.
What? Are you serious?
All of the so-called civil rights organizations, the Urban League, NAACP, all of those organizations that fought so-called for freedom, and they have morphed into a race grievance industry, and they're being led by their nose by other groups, and allowing the rich tradition of the civil rights movement to be appropriated.
Hey, we can overcome.
We can overcome.
We are on a positive roll
God,
today.
But hey,
as you guys can overcome. I'm stretching it hard. We can overcome. You know what I'm saying? We can have the power of community again. Absolutely, we can. And with that being said, those the three. And don't worry, I got a couple that I can show you, but I wanna leave you guys with this video. It's hard to find. First of all, you're not going to see this video from a lot of places. You're not going to find even. Okay? It's very valuable. Okay? This video I'm about to show you is Robert F. Kennedy announcing that MLK is killed to the people, to the public. It's absolutely one of the first. It's a raw emotions. The way he addressed it, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I wish we had one of those kind of leaders in today, because we need those kind of leaders today. But I'm sorry to say, at least for now, there's nowhere to be found for those kind of leader. A leader that puts humanity first. A leader that puts the people first. And don't forget, the Constitution of the United States starts with "we the people." But that's another day. That's another pod. But it's absolutely one of those videos that you'll be astonished. Like, you'll be like shocked. And it's good to observe. It's good to, learn history. And I'm going to share it with you guys. I love, sharing a valuable information, a piece of history. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you watch it. Please share it with everyone that you think might benefit. Everyone, that like share it, please. And make sure you like it, because it pushes that video into the algorithm, into the algo. Okay? Because lately I don't know what it is. I'm not seeing my videos being pushed, but hopefully maybe next few days, next few weeks, I'll be doing more live streams. I'll be doing more content. So, maybe that will absolutely kickstart it again. But again, I want to say I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you for being patient. I admit I was gone for a couple of weeks, and I was though streaming on another platform, Rumble, okay, And because, you know, my real audience, my real fans know the reason why. Okay, I'm not going to repeat it. The reason why I cannot, you know what I'm saying, stream and say what I want to say, majority of the content that I create. You know, so I will, you know what I'm saying, stay and stream more on here as well. So, and I appreciate YouTube. I appreciate YouTube as well. I want to say that I have grown. I don't have to, you know what I'm saying, go down on the rabbit hole. It is what it is. That's their policy. I'm gonna respect it, and I'm gonna make a decision based on that, my own decision. You know what I'm saying? But until next time, my friends, I hope your Sunday night, or if you're joining me somewhere else and it's your Monday, I hope it's going well. And if it's not, I hope it gets better. But make sure you take care of your mental health, because that is absolutely important. Even maybe as more important than your physical health. So those are connected. Your physical and mental health are connected. So make sure you take care of your mental health as well. Until next time, my friends, adios. Here's the video.
Could you lower those signs, please? I have some very sad news for all of you, and that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis. Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice between fellow human beings. He died in the cause of that effort. In this difficult day, in this difficult time for the United States, it's perhaps well to ask what kind of a nation we are and what direction we want to move in. For those of you who are black, considering the evidence evidently is that there were white people who were responsible, you can be filled with bitterness and with hatred and a desire for revenge. We can move in that direction as a country, in greater polarization, black people amongst blacks and white amongst whites, filled with hatred toward one another. Or we can make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and replace that violence, that stain of bloodshed that is spread across our land, with an effort to understand compassion and love. For those of you who are black and are tempted to be filled with hatred and mistrust of the injustice of such an act against all white people, I would only say that I can also feel in my own heart the same kind of feeling. I had a member of my family killed, but he was killed by a white man. But we have to make an effort in the United States. We have to make an effort to understand, to get beyond or go beyond these rather difficult times. We can do well in this country. We will have difficult times. We've had difficult times in the past, but we will have difficult times in the future. It is not the end of violence. It is not the end of lawlessness, and it's not the end of disorder. But the vast majority of white people and the vast majority of black people in this country want to live together, want to improve the quality of our life, and want justice for all human beings that abide in our land.
That's German propaganda.
I understand. Let me tell you. People can see that we're faced with a government. So as you can see, brothers and sisters, today, this afternoon, it's not our intention to discuss religion. We're going to forget religion. If we bring up religion, we'll be in an argument. And the best way to keep away from arguments and differences, as I said earlier, put your religion at home, in the closet. Keep it between you and your God. Because if it hasn't done anything more for you than it has, you need to forget it anyway. Whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or a nationalist, we all have the same problem. They don't hang you because you're a Baptist, they hang you because you're black. They don't attack me because I'm a Muslim, they attack me because I'm black. They attack all of us for the same reason. All of us catch hell from the same enemy. We're all in the same bag, in the same boat. We suffer political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation. All of them from the same enemy. The government has failed us. You can't deny that. Anytime you live in the 20th century, 1964, and you walking around here singing, "We shall overcome," the government has failed. This is part of what's wrong with you. You do too much singing. Today it's time to stop singing and start swinging. You can't sing up on freedom, but you can swing up on some freedom. Cassius Clay can sing, but singing didn't help him to become the heavyweight champion of the world. Swinging helped him. But this government has failed us. The government itself has failed us. And the white liberals who have been posing as our friends have failed us. And once we see that all these other sources to which we've turned have failed, we stop turning to them and turn to ourselves. We need a self-help program, a do-it-yourself philosophy, a do-it-right-now philosophy. It's already too late philosophy. This is what you and I need to get with. And the only way we're going to solve our problem is with a self-help program. Before we can get a self-help program started, we have to have a self-help philosophy. Black nationalism is a self-help philosophy. What's so good about it, you can stay right in the church where you are and still take black nationalism as your philosophy. You can stay in any kind of civic organization that you belong to and still take black nationalism as your philosophy. You can be an atheist and still take black nationalism as your philosophy. This is a philosophy that eliminates the necessity for division and argument. Because if you're black, you should be thinking black. And if you're black and you're not thinking black at this late date, well, I'm sorry for you. Once you change your philosophy, you change your thought pattern. Once you change your thought pattern, you change your attitude. Once you change your attitude, it changes your behavior pattern. And then you go on into some action. As long as you got a sit-down philosophy, you'll have a sit-down thought pattern. And as long as you think that old sit-down thought, you'll be in some kind of sit-down action. They'll have you sitting in everywhere. It's not so good to refer to what you're going to do as a sit-in. That right there castrates you. Right there it brings you down. What goes with it? Think of the image of someone sitting. An old woman can sit. An old man can sit. A chump can sit. A coward can sit. Anything can sit. Well, you and I have been sitting long enough, and it's time today for us to start doing some standing and some fighting to back that up. When we look at other parts of this earth upon which we live, we find that black, brown, red, and yellow people in Africa and Asia are getting their independence. They're not getting it by singing, "We shall overcome." No, they're getting it through nationalism. It is nationalism that brought about the independence of the people in Asia. Every nation in Asia gained its independence through the philosophy of nationalism. Every nation on the African continent that has gotten its independence brought it about through the philosophy of nationalism. And it will take black nationalism that to bring about the freedom of 22 million Afro-Americans here in this country where we have suffered colonialism for the past 400 years. America is just as much a colonial power as England ever was. America is just as much a colonial power as France ever was. In fact, America is more so a colonial power than they, because she's a hypocritical colonial power behind it. What do you call second-class citizenship? Why, that's colonization. Second-class citizenship is nothing but 20th century slavery. How are you going to tell me you're a second-class citizen? They don't have second-class citizenship in any other government on this earth. They just have slaves and people who are free. Well, this country is a hypocrite. They try and make you think they set you free by calling you a second-class citizen. No, you're nothing but a 20th century slave. Just as it took nationalism to remove colonialism from Asia and Africa, it'll take black nationalism today to remove colonialism from the backs and the minds of 22 million Afro-Americans here in this country. And 1964 looks like it might be the year of the ballot or the bullet. Why does it look like it might be the year of the ballot or the bullet? Because Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long. And they're fed up. They've become disenchanted. They've become disillusioned. They've become dissatisfied. And all of this has built up frustrations in the black community that makes the black community throughout America today more explosive than all of the atomic bombs the Russians can ever invent. Whenever you got a racial powder keg sitting in your lap, you're in more trouble than if you had an atomic powder keg sitting in your lap. When a racial powder keg goes off, it doesn't care who it knocks out the way. Understand this, it's dangerous. And in 1964, this seems to be the year. Because what can the white man use now to fool us? After he put down that march on Washington, and you see all through that now, he tricked you, had you marching down to Washington. Yes, had you marching back and forth between the feet of a dead man named Lincoln and another dead man named George Washington, singing "We Shall Overcome." He made a chump out of you. He made a fool out of you. He made you think you were going somewhere, and you end up going nowhere but between Lincoln and Washington. So today our people are disillusioned. They've become disenchanted. They've become dissatisfied. And in their frustrations, they want action. You'll see this young black man, this new generation, asking for the ballot or the bullet. That old Uncle Tom action is outdated. The young generation don't want to hear anything about the odds are against us. What do we care about odds? When this country here was first being founded, there were 13 colonies. The whites were colonized. They were fed up with this taxation without representation. So some of them stood up and said, liberty or death. Though I went to a white school over here in Mason, Michigan. The white man made the mistake of letting me read his history books. He made the mistake of teaching me that Patrick Henry was a patriot and George Washington wasn't nothing nonviolent about old Pat or George Washington. Liberty or death was what brought about the freedom of whites in this country from the English. They didn't care about the arts. Why, they faced the wrath of the entire British Empire. And in those days, they used to say that the British Empire was so vast and so powerful when the sun would never set on it. This is how big it was. Yet these 13 little scrawny states, tired of taxation without representation, tired of being exploited and oppressed and degraded, told that big British Empire, liberty or death. And here you have 22 million Afro-Americans, black people today, catching more hell than Patrick Henry ever saw.
In 1943, blacks were prohibited from being naval officers. Eleanor Roosevelt was persuaded her husband to train them, so they selected 16 black college-educated men for training, the Naval Academy. The Navy says, aha, we're going to give these black cadets in 8 weeks what we give white cadets in 16, so they wash out. When these brothers found out what the deal was, they covered the windows in their barracks and stayed up all night and studied. And when they were tested, they scored in the 90th percentile.
Wow.
So then they said, well, they cheated. So they tested them individually. They scored in the 93rd percentile. 13 of them eventually,
Unbelievable.
13 of them eventually became naval officers. They call them the Golden 13. You can look
Google
it up.
this?
That test, the test scores today has never been better. In